Right, so Libras, let's jump on in. We're going to do something a little bit lighter and brighter right now. I just want to kind of look at what's a message of growth, what's a message of maybe something that starts out fairly floral, obviously. This week, I know we're in November, but I still wanted to do something that is a little bit more about, things that are still blossoming and growing because we never really stop doing that, right? So we have Amaryllis, determination and creative achievements. And there's a quote here by Maya Angelou that says, "You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have." Very nice way to think of life in general. Very nice way to think of where we are in life and the fact that there's not a possibility of getting tapped out and not having enough, I'll say, life force to keep coming up with new ideas that are going to kind of like, I feel like this is somebody being reassured that they will still be excited again tomorrow. You go to bed exhausted, but you get up the next day and you're excited all over again. We got a Six of Swords, transition, leaving behind and moving on. And it's really great because this card has a Pegasus on it, which is reference to victory. Someone is our Libra vibe here. The thing that's blossoming and growing, the thing that still is taking shape, is this energy of growth, of change, this energy of positive movement forward. It's always exciting to say I think somebody was in a slump. Somebody was in a funk. Maybe it was a creative block, writer's block, whatever it was. But our lead character here is coming out of that blockage. King of Cups, heck yeah. Emotional control, heart and head balance. I gotta say, talk about balance, right? Being able to stand gracefully on one leg, not an easy thing to do. And yet, because of the way someone is able to, well, I'm going to say move on out of that funk, they are using I'm going to say, I don't know if somebody is actually getting beyond a heartbreak right now, or if someone is practicing the art of forgiveness. It could be that our Libra is forgiving someone who does want to genuinely give to them. This could be restoring some kind of like, okay, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's go ahead and move forward and let's just see if we can get this back into harmony. I understand you want to apologize. I understand that you are, using head and heart to try to like explain things to me so that we can move forward. Whatever the blockage was, whether it was a creative blockage, whether it was a blockage from one's heart space, it might have been impacting everything. Impacting, like when our heart hurts, it's really hard to be filled with, that good vibe energy. Now, sometimes I guess we could say that when our heart hurts, that could be the time where we're most prolific in, like pouring our pain into something. But I don't get that this was something that was agonizing. I feel like this was more a situation that created energy stagnancy. And that's what the Libra is coming out of. And it is thanks to their own ability to move beyond things. It's also, there's something here about getting the energy vibe up again, like having fun in life again, getting creative again. But I need to know more about that King of Cups, because the King of Cups somehow factors in. So either someone is, practicing. Ooh, we have a Three of Wands, looking into the future, expanding. All I can say is, if we've met a new person, if that King of Cups is someone new, or if it's our new attitude, whatever it is what's kind of like in the driver's seat, moving forward into the future. So this whole storyline is about getting out of a funk, getting out of stuck energy, and moving forward. And even though I don't know if this was some pivotal person who's shown up, we've got the Hierophant, tradition, legacy, society. This is starting to feel like something that we would want to move towards, something that, if this is where we're headed into the future, that Three of Wands is taking us right into the Hierophant. This is a place where it's like, okay, finally something I can count on. Finally, a place that I know that it's going to all make sense and I want to be there. This can talk about, this could be somebody reviving a relationship that is either going to become a happy marriage once again, because we're going to work on things, or it's someone saying, I'm able to believe in things like marriage and long-term, commitment again, after a time period where maybe it was kind of like, we were balking at it. But with this King of Cups, there's some kind of really, really beautiful energy here. The King of Cups is, I don't know if this is a person who is restoring our faith in this. I don't know if it was someone that we dealt with in the past or if it's a brand new person, though. But it definitely, the head and heart connection is what's really blossoming here and really bringing something positive. Ooh, we have a 3 of Swords, though. The suffering and the grief. So even though we're moving into commitment, even though we're moving into things that are really positive and we're getting out of stuck energy, this still has to be addressed. Hold on, let's change decks now that we have something that's such a significantly different piece of information here, because that's in the upright. It's like, as much as we're moving forward, there is still some kind of heartbreak there. Okay, the Moon and the 7 of Cups. Someone's not being 100% upfront yet about a situation that has like impacted, tugged at their heart. Maybe they're a little confused about, why do I still feel some lingering hurt? Because we've got all this forward motion, right? But there's still a little, there's something somebody's not opening up about. Well, we have the Sun, we have the 10 of Swords, and we have the 6 of Cups. I gotta say, if this is a story about someone who is getting out of stagnant energy, able to move forward, wanting to put their energy into something to see it, grow in a positive way, maybe even meeting someone new or simply reviving a connection, there is still this hurt that has to still be dealt with. And it's right now, it's being suppressed. It's being pressed down. And somebody's like, I don't know, do I bring this up? Do I not? It was almost like, I might need to get something off my chest where, once upon a time I had this opportunity to be really happy, and then it ended in a really difficult way. And it might have been a situation where, I'm still kind of reeling from what happened. Maybe it was the ending that these two had. There was a betrayal, there was an ending, there was a heartbreak, and now they're coming back into union. And it's like, that's great, but we still need to talk about this. I mean, it's wonderful to be moving forward, but it's like, I still feel hurt from what already happened. Queen of Swords, 4 of Wands. Yeah, a real need to talk about things. The Hanged Man, the 3 of Swords, and the 10 of Cups. Okay, hold on. This just got really complicated. I hate to do this, but this is not about one person. Our lead character is getting out of stagnant energy, yes. They are moving on, yes. They're balancing out their head and their heart, yes. They're even going into a commitment. But somewhere inside, they are not over. I mean, we see a heartbreak twice. There was someone that they are, I would say, still in love with. Someone who is still in love with them as well. Someone that there was tremendous hurt. And yet it's almost as if, so whoever this is, if this is our Libra, the Libra is still thinking about someone who they're still in love with. I don't know if they created a delay here and that led to more heartbreak. I feel like both people somehow, it's either that these two individuals have to talk about the way they each felt, the heartbreak that they dealt to one another. Both of them saw one another as their ultimate happiness, but both of them have had, I want to say this is an unfinished conversation between two people. So even though we have somebody getting out of stagnant energy, there still exists this huge heartbreak between two people who still see one another as their ultimate happiness, that they both felt betrayed by the other. I'm sorry, but that's what we got. That's what just came out. We're going to have to tell me, how does the first part of this fit into the second part of this? And in fact, let me change decks to a totally different one. How does the first part of this is getting unstuck? How does that connect with this second half of this storyline, because I asked about things that are growing, things that are changing, things that are blossoming. And okay, so we have a Five of Pentacles in the reverse, and we have a Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. So how does the first part fit together with the second part? Well, because for a period of time, this had been a really stagnant, well, we already knew that. It had been really stagnant, but it was stagnant long enough that some of the heartbreak, some of the hurt feeling, some of the loneliness could actually start to kind of fade. Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean that these two individuals are coming into a time period where they could could communicate? We have a Four of Wands, we have an Emperor, but then we've got this Four of Cups. I always look at this Four of Cups a little differently. I feel like this is where we realize that the universe, who is the goose to me, was actually protecting, creating a space here. Even though it felt like, God, we've lost so much time together. It's like, no. The universe gave these two a time out, because for them to really come into union, for them to really have this work, they had to be apart for a period of time. There was just no other way for this. The alignment couldn't have happened any other way. This had to go exactly the way it has gone. That's how I look at this collection of cards. Let me go back to each segment of this, because we've got that Libra energy here, well, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, who, she says, I feel like these two were at a distance, and it was like, I felt this person pulling on me. I felt them still in love with me, but I've also felt them holding back, which has been an absolute heartbreak, because I don't understand what the delay has been. Meanwhile, the other person has said, there has been a tremendous heartbreak for me because of all the hidden things that were confusing. I don't know exactly what the hidden thing was. I want to say one person had secrets and they didn't know how to explain them. And yet they wanted so much to be really happy, but instead they had to end something else before they could make this return, before they could be in this union. So let me just really quickly ask, what was the big secret there? I wanted to look at this storyline a little differently, say what's blossoming and growing. And I guess what's blossoming and growing is that divine timing has played out in this storyline. The secret here, we got three reversals. So we have an Emperor in the reverse. We have the World in the reverse. We had a Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. Now, let's not forget that the thing that is also connecting the former part of this situation to what we see here is it finally is the right time. The universe kept these two apart on purpose because someone had to become the Emperor in the upright. Well, if you notice, this deck has two emperors. Granted, this is like a female emperor, but again, gender is irrelevant to me. But what I want to say is the big secret that someone kept is that they were not in charge of their own life. They flat out were not. I don't think that their life was their own. They had something where, even if, let me show you this card upright. With this World card, even here, we don't see a sense of freedom, right? We see this individual standing there, and she holds on to the globe over here, and she holds on to a planet over here, and her dress is another globe. I feel much more like, by the way, she wears an acorn on her head as a hat, almost like storing up things for the future. I want to say that the big secret for this person was that their life was not their own. I feel like they were either, keeping in their mind, like, someday I'll be able to have my own sense of freedom. But I think somebody had them completely, this could even represent that this individual was keeping these two apart to the point where there wasn't even communication. These lovers might have been literally living in two vastly different places, and they were kept apart. Now it's not just the universe who did it. It was someone, possibly a Capricorn energy there. But it was someone who was making sure that these two could not come into union. And there was a lack of knowledge as to how to get around this. So someone's life was not their own. Someone was, for whatever reason, there was another energy there keeping these two isolated and apart. And with the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse, it was like, and I don't know for how long. But what's intriguing about this is when we look at this collection of cards, what we see is that the universe played a role in saying, hey, I don't want the two of you together until someone can be the emperor in the upright, because you've got to have somebody in control of their own life. Now here it looks like, well, it was other forces that prevented them from being in control of their own life. This would say maybe, but it was maybe also that someone had to take control for themselves. You know, they had to step into that role of, I choose to be in control of my own life. Now it's hard to say because this looks like, I mean, it could have been anything from finances were held up someplace. Some situation here made it impossible, but ultimately someone did not have control over their own life. So that's what this big old secret was that created this heartbreak. I feel like this person was saying that their own heart was broken also because the pyramids are behind them. It's like this big mystery, the fact that they were hiding this, not knowing, how do I explain, because this is confusion and this is what's hidden. And you know how I said it's like that feminine seemed like she was standing between these two. I'm not saying it was a woman, you know, between two people, but some energy was between them. Well, what do you see here? We see these two being kept apart in these separate towers, and we see this big old tarantula in between. So the same storyline shows up a second time. Somebody was in between the energy of these two. And this person did not know how to express what it was. They thought a lot about it. Like, how do I explain this? How do I explain what the big mystery is that keeps me apart from the person that I want? Because this is where my happiness is. I'd give anything to rush in, but I cannot until I complete another journey. And this was some really difficult ending for this person also. It was like they got 10 swords in the back. Now, whatever happened, even if this person got done wrong, done dirty by whatever this energy was, that world card, you know, entity that was in between them, or the tarantula, let's just call it the tarantula for the sake of, because it was obviously wasn't good, right? I feel like they might have ended things on like a really terrible note. Whatever this tarantula thing was, it was keeping them apart from their actual happiness. They might have gotten 10 swords in the back. They got really shortchanged. They were, you know, already being held up, and then on top of it, whatever the ending was, they might have really gotten shafted. But at least now they can come forward. At least now there's nothing holding them back. Maybe I mean, it sounds so, you know, routine to say, oh, maybe it was a, you know, lengthy, long drawn out divorce or something where somebody lost all their money. But hey, better to have no money and to at least finally have freedom, right? Better than being trapped in this situation, whatever it was. I don't want to say that that's what it was, but we did have a blockage that has shown up here for sure. Is there any final message on this? Because again, if the overall, you know, question was what is like growing, what is blossoming, what is lighter and brighter, it looks like, wow, we've got the Three of Swords. To have the Three of Swords come out 3 times, right? 3 times here. That's a lot. It's a lot of hurt. A lot of hurt. So it's like they each experienced heartbreak, and then there's like the heartbreak that sits between them. This is saying what's blossoming is that finally we can talk about what kind of heartbreaks we both endured because of how difficult the situation was. To be able to go ahead and talk through those things could be like the biggest weight lifted off of both of them, you know, to even know that they each hurt over this, and that King of Pentacles in the reverse, all the time that this wasn't grounded, it was agonizing for both of them, is what I want to say. If that's what the message is, you know, it's got to be, I'm just going to say, not like we ever want someone else to hurt per se, but to know that they were aching too, that the obstacles created all this drama, to know that the lack of balance impacted both individuals, you know, to the idea that, hey, if I hurt you, it hurt me to know that I was hurting you. It's a little bit like that. We got an 8 of Wands in the reverse, though, and a 10 of Wands in the reverse. All of this time where there was not communication, this weighed heavily, heavily. I don't know why this would be such a relief, just to know how much someone regrets the hurt and the pain. And we got an Ace of Cups and we got a 3 of Wands. I think because all of this is it's all being like, it's coming clean. This was an excruciating burden that someone carried. I think both of them want one another to know how painful this whole situation had been. That don't think it didn't impact me. Don't think that this didn't wear me down. Don't think I didn't think of you all the time. Don't think this wasn't the heaviest burden I've ever had to carry. To know that I had no sense of stability, no way to, and I don't really know why there was no way to communicate, okay? Because I don't really see what the massive blockage was, other than a tarantula is pretty significant, okay? And I'm not going to dive any deeper down that avenue, because the whole point is what's growing, what is blossoming. And this is how we're ending this storyline, with love and with looking to the future. But the thing is, the big components of this story have to do with, we're not stuck anymore. We don't have the burdens of being trapped anymore. We don't have the burdens of not being able to express, this is what has gone on. This is how I felt all this time. This is, I finally am in charge of my own life. And let me tell you, all the while I wasn't in charge of my own life, let me make sure that you know what a heavy burden this was on me. All the time I couldn't talk to you. I need to let you know, you have to understand how impacted I was by basically your absence. I feel like that's something this person really wants to convey in this storyline, because this is a major transformation. This is after all the stagnancy, all the silence, all of the time apart, this is like this incredible overflowing. It's like they're going to make up for the time where they didn't communicate, where there wasn't love being offered. It's like this person is asking if they can give that love now times 10, make up for everything that they didn't give, all the words that they didn't say. It's like this person just wants to keep, like expressing now. It's like a ton of expression. So from silence and stagnancy to a ton of expression. And this is the new way for this person to behave, or the new way for both of these individuals to be able to behave. We're looking to the future. This was some epic story, because you see the length of her braids. This actually talks about like significant difficulties, lengthy issues. This could talk, maybe this was like a 3-year ordeal, since she has 3 braids. Maybe it was like every time they thought something was going to get worked out, there was a new gigantic obstacle that would take a whole nother year to work through, or a month, or whatever the time frame was. But this is talking about the difficulties, and oftentimes about 3 significantly different issues that had occurred. But at last, that's behind us, and we're just able to look out toward the sea. We're able to finally look to the future, and the future is going to be filled with all of this love, communication, all of that bright energy. So I don't know. I think that the big message in all of this was someone really wants to finally, now that their life is their own and they're in charge of it, there's so much that they can say, there's so much that they can express. It's been a long time coming for these characters, is what it looks like. And, I didn't go down the road of like, how one person might be feeling or was more wronged by the other one, because it didn't actually come up. This is a story of what is blossoming, what is changing, and it's unstuck energy. And we have to remember that in this storyline, what we saw is that the goose stood there, the universe kind of stepped in and said, listen, the two of you can't be together right now, because this has to be worked out first. And the only way to work it out is to let somebody go figure out how to take charge of their own life. So the time is just not now. But the universe was there, still kind of offering some form of protection. I feel like this Queen of Swords has actually, despite the heartbreak, still always thought that at some point, this person still is my ultimate happiness. I don't really know why there's all this delay, but I'm aware that there's a delay. But it's interesting because she's always thought there's a distance, right? But for some reason, it's distance and delay, and it is breaking my heart. But it's almost like she knew that it was breaking their heart, the distance and the delay. It's like somehow or other, she thought at some point, I still know that we're going to end up here at this 10 of Cups. It's an interesting story just because there seems to be this, this long-lived, despite the heartbreak, despite the Three of Swords that we saw over and over again, it still seems like somewhere deep down the faith was never shaken. That's what I would say about this. I don't know all the ins and outs of what on earth happened in this, but that wasn't the important part at this point. The important part was for two people to express how difficult it has genuinely been to be apart now that they can be together without any restrictions. It's like to reassure both of them that this is this has been a really painful phase. Don't think that this didn't matter. Don't think it was just, oh, ho hum. This is kind of like a little over the top, I guess, but it looks like this has been for the Three of Swords to come out 3 times, it has been the most devastating thing that both of these characters have ever gone through, was this time apart. So, I mean, that's the storyline that we got today. As I always mention, I'm a storyteller. I am not a psychic. I do not pretend to be. I wish I had that gift, but I do not. I am a fictional storyteller. So always remember to take yourself out of the story and just listen to it for the characters and, you know, whatever the story is that pops out. But just remember, at the end of the day, I don't tell you anything about how your life is going to go. I don't predict anything. I don't give life advice. I'm not a life coach. I don't do any of that. I am purely a fictional storyteller. And I always let people know that in case you're new to my channel and you don't know that. It makes it like a lot more fun, I think, to listen to stories when we can instead enjoy them without putting ourselves too much into them. And even if there are things where we go, well, that's a different way to think about that. I can kind of like imagine that in this storyline, or, you know, I can reference that. I can have some point of reference in my own life. Just remember, it still is up to each of us to be able to make our life go the way we want it to. So this is not going to be anybody's life story, no matter what. And I hope that's empowering to be reminded that you get to decide your own life story. So I just mentioned that so that you know how my channel operates. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you do enjoy the storytelling for what it is, and I hope it's a funner place to be when you think of it in that context. So thank you guys again, and thank you for giving this video a thumbs up, and thank you so much for subscribing. Bye.